Hello guys, I am back from another video, and today we're talking about Deku was a mercenary. So, in the last video Deku, actually, the simplest explanation about last episode is mostly just one word. Training. It's mostly training for Izuku, mostly going to the gym and also doing some like regular old training for the sports festival. But Izuku did interact with Jiro that one time, but she was almost, by some guys, but thankfully Izuku basically murdered them. Basically just murdered them. So, after Izuku does that, Izuku does some more training, but this time Izuku is training with Momo, as when they finish, they basically gone to sleep. So, that was a simple explanation about last episode, and so, let's talk about what happened next. So, it's almost finally time for the sports festival, and so Izuku started training again, like usual. Izuku started training on his swordsmanship, wielding his gigantic blade, which is also his Zombania. And if you don't know what a Zombania, it's basically like the tribe of Hassan, being the tribe that Izuku was trained under, so he can act as like an assassin slash mercenary. And that's how Izuku learned the deku, or his most powerful technique, being called Hassan of the Fool, but it was just a weaker version. Because when he uses the weaker version, it's at least not as, destructive. But when he uses his true, Zombania, no Zombania, the, Harlequin, which I decided to change the name. Sorry, but I'm calling it Zombania the Harlequin because of the look. So, Zombania Harlequin just transforms his halberd, not really halberd, I meant his scabbard, his scabbard into a gigantic clown, which kind of resembles a clown-like mask with large, terrifying hands with bells, and the body is composed of dark, black shadows, resembling like a clown with a sadistic smile and glowing purple slash like pink eyes. So, because of this, Izuku rarely uses it because it's unnecessary to do it with quote unquote weak individuals. And so Izuku rarely uses that power. So, Izuku started getting ready for the sports festival as it's finally time. So, Izuku gets to school as Izuku sees lots and lots of posters and little, areas for everybody to get food and also some drinks so they can watch the sports festival, live. Not really live as in, like, live television, more like live as in the actual, like, battlefield or the actual, stadium. So, everybody starts looking at Izuku because they know that Izuku is actually pretty powerful. Because during the USJ um incident, they actually did a news report about it, as it said in the news that Izuku defeated them pretty much easily. Some, reporters proclaimed. So Izuku was tried by several people, and several girls started asking him out. But Izuku tells all of them that he's dating somebody else. But they insist, but let's just say Jiro, after seeing Izuku, talking to some girls, let's just say she's pretty mad. Jiro was kind of a bit mad, but she tells every single girl around Izuku to get away from him, because she is, after all, Izuku's fiancée. So, after that wait for a second, confrontation, Izuku starts leaving to go and get ready for the sports festival. So, the sports festival is about to begin, as everybody started coming out of the tunnel. Everybody sees the crowd as everybody cheered for the brand new generation of heroes. Izuku was not really that excited, but in the inside he's actually pretty, interested. So, a speech was about to commence, and apparently the student with the highest like grades and power is going to do the speech, as Izuku was told to tell the speech. Izuku steps up as he explains that it doesn't matter that if you're powerful or anything, it does matter if you are strong. Strong means strength, and strength means power. And with power comes great responsibility, just like, Spider-Man. He explains a simple quote. If you don't have the power to back you up, you're nothing more than you're nothing more than a useless piece of shit. But you can also use that to your advantage. Several people thought that speech was actually pretty interesting and compelling, but for Bakugo, he believed that it actually was a jab at him being a musclehead and believing that he's all powerful. So let's just say Bakugo was pretty mad. So, after Izuku does that speech, Bakugo just looks at him as Izuku looks over as Bakugo said this. I will frickin' kill you. As Izuku just says this. Whatever. So, the first event comes, as the first event is going to be a simple obstacle race. So, everybody's basically excited as everybody starts getting ready into their positions. Izuku starts creating the roller skate type blades, as everybody sees the roller skate type blades that Izuku created, as one of them being one of the announcers being, wait for a second, President Mike says this. So, Aizawa, can you explain what is his, quirk? As he explains. Well, his quirk is pretty simple. It basically allows him to, create several blades. And I mean, he can make any type of blade, but unfortunately, he can only make blades. And by the way, he can't make axes, or spears, or anything like that. It has to be a sword or a type of knife. Or even a katar, which is basically like a gauntlet with a sword under. As President Mike says this. So he's only able to create only blades. So it's basically like Momo Yajirozu's quirk. As he says this. Kind of. So, when they pan out to Izuku as the camera looks at him, well, one of the, audiences, or the audience, sees him as she thinks, wait a minute, Izuku? As that person is Izuku's real mother, wait for a second, Inko. As Inko says this, no, so, Izuku really is here. When I go up into that stage, when I proclaim that Izuku is actually my child, they will all know that that bitch, that bitch, took away my son, and I shall bring him back, no matter what. So, the first event starts, as everybody starts going off to the races, as Izuku sees Izumi using One for All. Izuku knows that quirk pretty well because during one of his missions, apparently a villain was talking about wait for a second, talking about One for All and All Might. Apparently One for All is actually a quirk that can be passed down. Izuku knows that vital information pretty well, but keeps it quiet for now. When Izuku saw that, um, you know, wait for a second again, sorry. Izumi was using One for All. Izuku thinks, so All Might has finally found a successor. This will be interesting. As Izuku starts using his blade-like, wheels to start gliding across the ground. Izuku was in third place, as in, second place, Bakugo, as for the first place, it's Todoroki. So, while Izuku is skating around, Izuku sees several zero-pointers coming towards him. Izuku just says this. How infuriating. As Izuku creates several blades. These blades being like, broadswords. Just imagine, Dragon Slayer, I think that was called. It's a sword from Berserk. If you don't know what if you don't know what is Berserk, please don't watch it. I want to forget all of those dark scenes. Even though it's good, I never want to watch that ever again. But if you do, just be warned, it's pretty dark. So, Izuku starts wielding these broadswords like like black keys, just like Kirei or you know, wait for a second, Shiro Amakusa. So, Izuku throws these blades at the Zero Pointers' heads, destroying them instantly, but causing a bit of damage. Some of the other, students, specifically the two boys being, like, both of them having the same quirk, which is hardening, and you probably know who they are, being Kirishima and Tetsutetsu, get smashed over by the Zero Pointers, but they came out unscathed. As for Izuku, Izuku's now in second place, as Bako becomes third, as Bako says this, "How the hell am I second? I meant, how the hell am I, uh, how the hell am I freaking third? That nerd is supposed to freaking lose to me!" As Izuku just says this, this is a breeze. As Izuku sees Todoroki getting ready to go over the, that thing, being the, cliff, Izuku starts, going into, like, the bridge, started running on the bridge, as Todoroki sees him as he says this. Guess I'll stop here. As Izuku just gets ramped over. So, when Izuku just starts flying, Izuku decides to just let fate do whatever he wants, or she, or whatever. As Izuku actually made it across the entire, chasm. As Izuku just says this, "Thanks, Todoroki." As Todoroki says this, "Clever man." As he starts creating more ice, as Izuku is finally now at first place. As when Izuku goes through the tunnel, Izuku sees the minefield. Izuku just thinks of this. If this place is actually supposed to be, camouflaged, what a joke. Izuku just creates a blade as Izuku throws it at one of the mines, which causes a chain reaction of explosions, which destroys the entire place. Not really the entire place, it's more like the entire, field. As Izuku goes over the, destroyed field, as Izuku waited for Todoroki, because Izuku decides to just become second place, because for several reasons, one of them is being, if somebody becomes first place, they're obviously going to become a target. So, Bakugo, instead of becoming third place, he finally gets first place, as Izuku becomes second. As for Todoroki, he becomes third, as Bakugo says, "Ha! Take that, you nerd! I'm supposed to be the best, and you should never forget it." As Izuku just says this, "It's not my problem, and besides, you're gonna have a lot of enemies, because there's gonna be a bounty on your head." As Bakugo just says this, "What do you mean by that, nerd?" As they announce that Bakugo is, in first place, and because of that, well, every student is now looking at him, getting ready to, get his bounty. As Bakugo said this, You tricked me!" As Izuku just says this, "No, it's because of your arrogance. Anyway, I should start getting ready for the Calvary Battle." So, the Calvary Battle was announced, but before that, they're gonna be having lunch. So, Izuku decides to have lunch alone because his mother is not really there right now. Apparently, she's currently at a business trip in another country, specifically, wait for a second. Let's just say China for now. So, Izuku eats alone, as his bento is mostly filled with mostly Western foods, like, for example, like, what do you actually call it? Fried chicken, and, some a little bit of rice, even some bacon, and also, even more confusingly, chicken Kiev. And if you don't know what chicken Kiev is basically like a um I don't really what to call it. It's basically like you stuff a piece of like chicken, specifically like grounded up meat of chicken, and then stuff it with butter and some herbs, and the herbs just basically melt inside of the chicken, like, casing. And when you open it, it's basically like a flurry of, like, delicious herby sauce. And trust me, I actually ate that. I ate it back in like high school, back when I was in 8th grade, and my classmate who made it, dang, it was good. Oh my god. I knew it was worth like sharing my food back in the day. It was super freaking good. Anyway, back to the topic. Izuku was eating alone as one of his classmates, being, wait for a second, Kaminari, comes towards him as he says this. Hey Izuku, are you eating alone? As Izuku just says this. Obviously, I prefer not to, interact with people. As he says this. Oh really? So, Izuku, are you like, interested in anybody? Oh, yeah, I forgot. You're married to Jiro, right? As Izuku just says this. Yes? Why? As he says this. Well, well, I really had a crush on her back in the day, but ever since I heard that you were actually, dating her, and also you were fiance, and you're sorry about that. Wait for a second. Sorry about that. It was just my voice. It was just a bit of like coughing. I think it's because of my, my throat hurting, but don't worry, it's okay. So, Izuku just says this. Yeah, I am her fiance. As he says this. Yeah, I kinda had a crush on her back in middle school, and when I heard that you're her fiance, well, let's just say my soul is crushed. Well, do you have anybody to recommend, or as Izuku just says this? Um, Sorry, but I don't have anybody that's like a friend, specifically like a girl. As he says this. Oh, come on, you're basically, like, you said that you're from overseas, right? So, have you ever met a girl that's like, cute or anything? Like, anybody that's like single? As Izuku remembers a girl back when he was in, Saudi Arabia, during when he was, training as an Hassan. Sorry about noise. When he was on Hassan. That person was named Hassan of Serenity. And the reason why she's called that is because she has poisonous skin. But the reason why she has poisonous skin is because of her, quirk. Being being like a poison dart frog, poison dart frog, it, well, allows her to basically touch anything and it would be instantly be poisoned. Like for example, her skin is poisonous, her hair is poisonous, even her saliva and any of her other bodily fluids are basically poisonous. So she's basically a walking, talking embodiment of poison. As Izuka just says this, sorry, I don't have any friends that are girls, and most of them probably don't, want to like you or anything. As he says this, my love life is ruined. As Izuku just says this, don't worry, besides, you might find somebody that's special. Maybe similar to you. As he says this, really? As Izuku just says this, maybe in the 1 in millionth chance. As he says this, uh, as Izuku just says this, well, I guess we should go now. It seems that the Calvary Battle is about to start. As he says this, oh, yeah, I forgot. So, the Calvary Battle is about to begin, but unfortunately, they need to find some, teammates. Izuku, while finding some teammates, Izuku decides to pick these people, being Jiro, Todoroki, and Momo, as Todoroki says this. So, are you ready, Izuku? As Izuku just says this, yeah, just create some ice, just make some ice walls for you. Momo, try and make some metal beams so you can make some extra more defense. And for you, Jiro, start using your, well, sound-based abilities to scream at all of the enemies. As she says this. Correct. So, because everybody is getting ready to, catch Bakugo's, headband, nobody actually joins with him. So the reason why is because, he's being an asshole most of the time, so nobody ever likes him. And that is why everybody's going to try and get his headband. So, it starts with, well, Midnight basically cracking her whip and says, "Go!" As everybody starts charging towards, Bakugo. As for Izuku, Izuku tells his team to go towards Bakugo. Bakugo starts using his explosions, but for Todoroki, he starts creating ice that blocks all of the explosions. As for Izuku, he starts throwing out tons and tons of knives, mostly throwing knives that are not like kunai. And by the way, actual historical kunai are actually not, thrown. Besides, their weight is basically not their weight is basically makes them not allow them to, go flying or anything like that. The reason why they actually use them anyway is because they're mostly used as like regular old knives, even though they're not as, powerful. But they are used to, create holes and also can be used as, climbing gear. Kind of. Unless if you have like a a stone wait for a second. A stone wall, it will probably walk or like you're able to climb over it. So yeah, that's some historical context for kunai, and yeah, the reason why I know this is because I watch Gaijin Goomba most of the time, and I love his you know, little series about ninjas. So yeah, back to the regular topic of the what if. Izuku started throwing all of these knives at Bakugo as Bakugo said this. "You really think that you can actually beat me, you nerd?" As Izuku just says this. Well, it was just a distraction anyway. As he says this. "Come again?" As one of his teammates, being Jiro, creates a large trap which encases Bakugo. As when he tries to use his explosions, it doesn't work. As she says this. "Nice! You did it! We did it!" As Izuku just says this. "Yeah, we did." Now, Izuku grabs Bakugo's headband as they are declared the winner. So, after that, event, it's going to be finally the time for the last event, being the one-on-one battles. So, but unfortunately, this will be the end of the episode, but please don't, click off the video yet, because I want all of you to pick in the comments, or I'm probably going to make like a little post on my community tab. I'm going to be making a poll for, or at least like asking all of you if Izuku should have a hero name or not. Like, you should pick like whatever hero name should Izuku get. Like for example, like Izuku would have like the name Hassan of something. Just pick whatever hero name you want, okay? Just as long as this fits, as because Izuku is after all a specific type of like hero because of the whole blade motif and the clown motif. So, I want all of you to pick a hero name for Izuku for the next part. Okay? Good. So, I hope you liked the video, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!